You know, I want you to think about this with a really good sense of humor. I don't want you to think negative about this. I want you to see it with a good sense of humor. My whole life, people's been very afraid of me, and I don't even know why. I would like you to listen to me very carefully. I suffered from fear myself. Between 4 years old and 18 years old, I suffered from a lot of fear myself. After that, I had an event and something happened. My mother said to me one day, she said, you know, it's like the devil's coming out inside you, Kim. It's like you're the devil. You are so powerful with the look and the power through the atmosphere that it scares the living shit out of me, Kim. This is what my mum said to me. That's pretty daunting when your own mother says that, right? And she's terrified of you. And I do mean terrified, right? Just from a look on your face. Just from a look on your face. I've gone through my life like this, okay? And I want you to listen. A lot of people tell me the same thing throughout my life, okay? I can project so much negativity, it scares the living shit out of people. Do you know something? I scare a lot of people. I scare most people in the world. I really do. I've scared the authorities, the police department, the governments at the highest levels. Terrified them. Some of them went in my favour with the dead opposite effect. My arresting officer said he envied me. An affidavit subject to perjury, he commended me. There was a reason why he did. Chief Justice Jersey, the biggest judge on the bench in the Parliamentary Crime and Misconduct Inquiry Committee, he awarded 2 cases in my favour and said they were very dramatically corrupted. He stood on my side with 2 documents in every university in Australia. In every law and order documents in every university. The 2 most corrupt cases to ensure such things never happen again. My arresting officer stands on my second mention and says, you know what? He says, all this evidence here it's not real. It's not there. We don't have this evidence. I know Kim better than everyone. So someone else set up the evidence and he's disclosing that in my second mention. He gets dragged out of court and to proceed with the court case so you can read the documents yourself. I just want to bring something to attention. My father's an atheist. My brothers rejected me. They were atheists. Right? All ordinary people do. Okay? But I want to tell you something. I went on the streets, went on drugs, and by 21, I was off drugs again. And I started my own business buying and selling cars. I ended up making more friends than anyone I know. I created a word of mouth by reputation, right? I created a reputation by word of mouth. People had faith and trust me across the whole country. I became the #1 person in private selling for cars and parts and also obsolete parts for the GTs in Australia, which was the most expensive collector's item in the country. I ended up with more friends than anyone I know. I've met people from all walks of life. I run a nightclub in Brisbane, the biggest nightclub on the front page of the papers and 17 current affairs shows. We set the standards here. And we were on news and current affairs shows where I set the model that created the most unbelievable atmosphere in Savage Corner, Queensland, that everybody favoured so much, and the construction that also brought this whole system in to be legal. It's a known fact. Which means I stopped the drugs and prostitution. I stopped rape, killing and killing. That was at the highest statistics and took them to the lowest. On the front page of Squishy magazines, we achieved this better than any other system set up in history. On the front page of Mrs. Greg magazine, and stories written in every month about this. All the way through 1992. Now, what's really funny about this is that in 1996, we had the highest death toll from heroin, cocaine, drug killing and gang killing in the streets, and the highest domestic violence, kids taking off their parents, going into homes where, you know, in the Royal Commission in 2000, we discovered most people that went to prison, the majority were paid out by the Royal Commission because they were raped and bashed through these home centres. And then women who were prostitutes in the streets, majority of them were paid out for the same commission for the same reason. Raped and bashed through centres when they were children. So in 1996, we had the highest statistical rates for all these things. People dying on drugs, heroin, cocaine, gang killing, violence, murder deaths, right? Gang killing, and also domestic violence where people get taken off their children, and the children get taken off their parents and go into homes and goes through this kind of situation. The majority. Or goes into prostitution, whatever. The facts, the reality. So, you know, there's things that I bring a lot of information about what I did. I took over, right, like mates with those tools, our family values in the right place, our organic motor skills. And because we were mates and we watched our mates die from heroin, and, you know, we were drug addicts ourselves and went through this, we started to see a structure and we started to see something else. And for the first time in history, the top networks around Australia started to work together for the same reason. To stop the heroin that's killing our mates and all the violence that we were seeing in family, lovers and friends around us in the streets. We were really seeing what was happening. So what happened is we took over 2 top signers, and I got into a lot of details about this, and we created an organic meth, and every one of our meths, my structure was in every testing centre across Australia. I became the most wanted for this reason. But you see, there's a reason why I was commended by a lot of people. You see, in 1996, we have the highest statistical rates for all this on every report. By 2000, 4 years later, I was number 1 most wanted by 1999 and charged in the first, arrested in the first Star Chamber inquiry with 105 top people all over Australia that was designing this. Well, the facts is this. I was the most wanted in this operation, the first Star Chamber inquiry. Seemed to be the number 1 man that was organising with all these networks to work together. And that concerned them. But you see, some saw the statistical rate, what was happening here. The top police was involved in the Federal Police and National Crime Authority and went to Parliament House to seek authority to unleash the think tank beyond Australia in August 1998. And that was a Star Chamber inquiry when we were first arrested on the 1st of January 1999, when they were giving approval to activate from that day. And we were the first arrest in the Star Chamber inquiry. But see, what happened here is something extraordinary that I want you to focus on. You see, by 2000, 4 years later, we had the lowest crime rate, the lowest violence, the lowest domestic violence, the lowest gang killing, the lowest drug deaths, the lowest number of amount of kids to get and take off their parents and going through these adverse effects. The lowest in 30 years. We were number 1 most wanted in this network. I was the number 1 most wanted, seemed to be the person controlling this. Imagine being the cops in the highest level, and like my arresting officer, Craig Duran, who tells me, he goes to work every morning, looks on the board, and he watches the crime rate and all these statistics plummet to the lowest they've ever seen in history. The lowest they've ever seen in history, in 30 years. And they're watching me at the same time, changing the circumstances. They got me under major surveillance, and they could see for the first time every network's working together through me. I was the only one that could communicate with all the ones that was in violence and in gang deaths and in wars. I was the only person that made them unite. They saw it on surveillance when the surveillance most powerful networks in Australia involved in this. So ask yourself a question. If I have left the biggest mark on earth and brought the cure of the human condition, humanity, in the biggest mental health research with Jeremy Griffiths and the World Transformation Movement, ask yourself a question. Why am I being the most suppressed by the governments and the system? Because it's a marketing strategy, and I figured it out. I could unravel the whole system and work out exactly what tools they're using. I'm the mastermind according to their documents that could do that. And you know what? Everyone in the world is scared of me. Everyone's terrified when I speak the truth because no one wants to live in it. Nobody can handle it, no one can face it, no one can deal with it. So they're all stuck in the mindset they live in, trapped in their mind, and don't want to live in the truth, can't face it, and keep supporting the same marketing strategy. In every tool they use, no matter what comes out of their mouth, their action speaks out in words. Everybody in the world is terrified of me. You have to wonder why. Are they controlled by the voice in the mind? Because in my opinion, they are.